Was there any particular incident that triggered you to decide, hey, we've got to make changes?
Yeah, because inevitably it's the future.
To really do something completely different and to address climate change as a whole, we need a complete rethink.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Driving Life with BMW, our podcast series by BMW Indonesia. This is our second episode and it's going to be a special one. As you can see, I am in the middle of Gias as Gias kicks off today on August the 11th and runs for the next 10 days through to August the 21st. And I'm obviously in the BMW Pavilion and we have a great one coming up for you here today. Now, for the first time in Indonesia, BMW has launched a comprehensive range of electro-mobility vehicles from BMW and Mini as well. Visitors will find the full range of BMW and Mini models displayed inside the pavilion, covering an extensive 2,100 square meters. We're also proud to continue to have the most exclusive hall here at Gias, fitting to the BMW and Mini brand image as premium brands. And speaking of which, the exclusive pavilion showcases 22 BMW with 11 units ready for a test drive, including the latest BMW iX and i4, which we're going to talk about in a little while. It is also the largest pavilion amongst all the premium brands. If you guys want to find out more, make sure you're following us at BMW_Indonesia, or you can check out the website at www.bmw.co.id. Hey, if you're going to post anything, make sure you use the hashtag BMW Indonesia and BMW at Gias 2022. Now, without any further ado, I've got two very special guests here for this episode. We've got a series of episodes coming up here at Gias, but this is going to be a special one because this is the one that kicks us off. And today's theme is in line with my two guests, as today we're going to talk about walking down the sustainable lane. So without any further ado, let's say hello right now to Pak Ramesh Divyanathan, the President Director of BMW Indonesia. Pak Ramesh, hello.
Hi, Paul.
Good to talk to you again.
Good to be here.
Good to see you again. And of course, right beside me, we have Saputra. Nico, how are you?
Oh, good, thanks.
Good to see you again. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
Wow. So let me just talk to Pak Ramesh first. Look, today our topic is walking down the sustainable lane. Can we talk a little bit about why this is the theme here this year at Gias?
Sustainability is a really big and important commitment for BMW Group. We have been focusing on that since the 70s.
Yeah.
Since the 70s. In fact, at the Munich Olympic Games in 1972, the marathoners were accompanied by our first electric car. So we've had ambitious goals and commitments since the 70s. So that's continued all the way until today. And we're really proud to showcase at Gias our two electric vehicles here in Indonesia, the iX and the i4.
Right. We're going to talk in more detail in regards to those particular vehicles. But Nico, I've been a big fan of your body of work for a long time. However, nothing impresses me more than your advocacy. I mean, you're all about sustainable living. Why and when and why did you start going in this direction with your life?
Well, I think it's the future. It's definitely the future. We should and we are all trying to head there. Because I think everyone understands that, you know, the environment is very important because we are living in it. Mm-hmm. We are becoming one to nature. We are one unit, basically. So it's definitely the future. And when I started, I think it built up slowly.
Okay.
With a lot of information that I got, with the experience that I got from traveling, from helping a lot of activism in sustainability, and also the latest science about it. So, you know, it's going to be. We need to have it because it's the future.
You're really passionate about this topic. Was there any particular incident that triggered you to decide, hey, we've got to make changes?
Yeah, mostly because of my traveling activities. Because I see a lot of things that relate to sustainability in terms of the change. Because if I go to one place, for example, and then I go to that same place years after when it's
different
developing, I see a lot of reduction in terms of the quality of like the waste management, the quality of the air, the heat, and the comfort of living, which concerns me because if that happens everywhere, we're not in a good situation in the future.
I think we're fast approaching that situation because, I mean, I report on the morning news daily, and it seems like every single day the headline is now weather, climate change related news, and none of it is good. A lot of it is some places are too hot, some places are too cold, some places are too wet, and some places are too dry. We're going to jump into a little bit more about BMW and its role in sustainability. Tell me a little bit, Ramesh, about Project I.
Yeah, we started Project I in 2007. We felt in the end that as a company, we needed to look into the whole topic of sustainability and our cars in a completely different way. The incremental improvements that we made every model is good, but to really do something completely different and to address climate change as a whole, we need a complete rethink. So Project I was about completely rethinking the way we develop cars, or we produce cars. So we look at cars in the end, not just about the use phase of the car, which is like we sell the car and someone uses the car, that's the using phase. But we look into the complete value chain itself. So the suppliers, because they also produce CO2, the production part, and then the using part. So Project I really encapsulates this whole 360-degree holistic approach to the way we develop, produce cars, and sell cars.
What are some of the things that BMW does in its plant that is towards sustainability, for example?
We looked at it from the point of view of, first of all, the amount of emissions that the car produces. So the first thing is the using phase of it. So of course, fully electric vehicles would be the solution for reducing the using phase. But suppliers in the production play a really big part of that as well. So we work closely with our suppliers to see how we can reduce that. In some cases, when we feel that we need to be directly involved to ensure there's no middle party that we can't be 100% sure about, we do that. So for example, a big part of the raw materials for battery, lithium and cobalt.
Right.
And there we buy directly itself from the producers. We don't go through any middle party.
Okay.
So that shows as well that we say we have to be involved in that part just to make sure that we know what's going on there. The production of our cars, all BMW-owned production facilities use green power nowadays. So we look into it from a really holistic standpoint when we look at sustainability.
Yeah, I think we need to think like everything from start to finish now, the full cycle, as opposed to just...
Absolutely. And even the recyclability as well.
Right, so what to do afterwards as well, right? BMW plays a big role these days in sustainability, and Nico, you play a big role as well in sustainability. A couple of years ago, you had a project, a film project. Now, the English title is Islands of Faith, correct?
That's correct.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's a film about how Indonesians in many different locations, urban, rurals, in the forests, in people who live by the beach, they're facing the same situation, and their way of life, taught by their religions and local beliefs, actually has been from generation to generation living in their way of life about how to take care of the nature, how to preserve, how to make all the natural resources sustainable to be consumed. So this film, of course, inspired by a question actually, like, do we have it in our nature, in our DNA to take care of the nature, and religions, and in Indonesia and also the local beliefs actually taught that to us. So it's part of us. It's just sometimes we're living in the cities. We're
detached.
We're overshadowed by all the technologies, all the lights and everything. But actually, it's in our DNA that we are becoming. We are in one unit with nature.
What's the biggest thing you learned from your project, your documentary?
I think that what I learned is actually we cannot do it in the blink of an eye.
Okay.
We cannot do it overnight. The change, the sustainability, the ideal life of sustainability, because we are faced with a lot of things also, like our lifestyle, our habits, our technology, our progress that needs to go hand in hand with the spirit of sustainability. So what I learned is actually we cannot do it overnight, but we have to do it together to make it faster.
Yeah, and I think it takes for us to see those that actually rely on things like the forest and nature for their day-to-day life and their livelihoods to remind us what we're doing wrong, because not only are we not attached to it, we're causing a lot of that in the big cities as well, and causing a lot of these things, these problems. So let's talk about, it is August the 11th, today's the first day of Gias, and today BMW introduces to us the iX and i4. Ramesh, can you tell us a little bit about these two vehicles?
The iX is an X5 size vehicle.
Okay, yes.
It's fully electric. It has a range of up to 420 kilometers. But what's special about the iX is that it's a car which is developed from the ground up, completely again with a new way of thinking. So it has a very high degree of usage of recycled natural materials. For example, the floor mats are using plastics that come from fishing nets. The wood that we have in there uses FSC certified wood. The materials that we use to tan the leather, for example, uses olive tree extract. So we think of it not just in terms of the driving pleasure, which is typical BMW DNA, driving pleasure, the fun of it, but what is the footprint that this vehicle leaves today and tomorrow. So iX is built around that whole sustainability mindset.
Okay, and the i4 is a smaller version of it.
i4 is a four-door Grand Coupe.
Okay.
It's a smaller car. It is essentially, I would say, it's aesthetically very, very dynamic looking, very powerful, but also fully electric. Okay. It has a range of 580 kilometers. The difference of the i4 is that it's obviously a smaller car, it's lower to the ground. So in terms of the sportiness of that, it's much more pronounced, iX. The iX gives you a feeling of a luxury lounge atmosphere when you're driving the iX.
Right.
The i4 gives you a much more emotionally electrifying experience.
Okay. You know, the ranges that you mentioned, by the way, that's more than a lot of fuel-powered cars these days as well, right?
It is.
So, yeah. Especially with the price of gas these days.
Absolutely.
So, Nico, you were the first to get an experience to at least sit inside it, and first impressions are everything, especially when it comes to motor vehicles. Like, especially that's how I see it. Tell us about your first experience when you met.
I was so lucky to experience the iX and i4. Of course, the iX, what Ramesh mentioned before, it was a lounge experience. You know that you are driving something exciting, and with the technology of EV and also the I wouldn't say futuristic, but you can sense that this is something new, something that BMW offers for you to experience something new, the holistic experience in the iX. And also, I was explained that all the materials are unique and made from sustainable and also recyclable materials. So it feels good. It feels.
Did you feel there was any compromise to the premium feel of it just because it was different materials?
Not at all,
Okay.
and even more. I mean, like I drive BMW myself,
Right.
so I know exactly how it feels to drive a BMW. And it still feels the same. Of course, you still feel like you're driving BMW, and even more because of the design, the color palette, and everything gives you new experience.
Okay.
And also the i4.
So how was that?
Yeah, it's actually, frankly, it's my favorite one because
Good to hear that.
I'm a sedan lover.
Okay.
And you still feel like a driving BMW.
Yeah.
And without sounds.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. That's one thing I want to talk. And that goes back to what you were saying, Ramesh. The i4, it gives you that more kind of feel. You're more in touch with the driving experience itself. But that's the thing about me. I don't own an electric car yet. I hope to one day. But I also know that electric vehicles don't make any noise.
Yes.
We do know that connoisseurs and people who love cars want to have that full experience. So what is that like? How do you guys manage to balance that out?
That's one of the most pertinent points, because when all electric vehicles make no sound, you do take away one important DNA of a brand.
That's the word I was
And particularly for BMW, the DNA, the M, that stands for motor. So there's no motor now, it's an electric drive. So what do? So I think it was just genius level thinking, our R&D experts to say, you know what, we create an iconic sound, and we can't just find our own engineers, because lots of engineers, so we have to find someone who's a world expert.
Okay.
So we went to Hans Zimmer.
The Hans Zimmer.
Grammy Award, Academy Award winning Hans Zimmer.
Wow.
And it's not just about Hans Zimmer do something for BMW. BMW is close to his heart.
Okay.
As a child, his parents owned BMWs.
Ah.
And he already could tell his dad's BMW and his mom's BMW from the sound they make when they are driving home.
Wow, really?
So you can say it's very much in his DNA as well,
Sure.
about BMW and sounds. And we said, Mr. Zimmer, here's the project, what do we do? And he's created something really, really special. I think he's mated the sound perfectly to BMW's driving experience.
So he's actually created a sound
Correct.
to interact with what you're doing inside the car.
Exactly.
Wow, that's amazing. And I guess that brings back that completes the picture, if you will.
Yeah.
So tell us about everything else that makes this. Now, we've talked about the materials that it's made of. We've talked about the additional things, but tell us about the entire experience itself, Ramesh, about how the iX and i4 fits into the entire BMW lineup, just as a part of its family as well, in regards to the driving experience.
The i4 gives you a really, really sporty, dynamic feel in terms of the handling, and of course the sound from Hans Zimmer's engineering comes into play as well. As you drive faster and faster, the sound really accompanies this feeling, so it creates this oral, emotional feeling. X is very much focused on giving a luxury lounge atmosphere. These are the two differences, but they complement very much the whole DNA of BMW. Hence we say Joy is electric, because Joy is BMW's core brand value, but now Joy is electric because of the electric vehicles.
Okay. I'm curious, because I haven't got a chance yet. This is just the first time I saw it myself. Did he make it sound like another type of BMW, or did he create a unique sound just for that?
Totally.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Can't wait to try it out. By the way, you guys can try it out as well. Over the next 10 days, there'll be a chance for you guys to test drive. You have a background in architecture. You have an interest in architecture.
Yeah, of course.
So design is your thing.
Definitely.
Tell me what your thoughts are when you first saw the iX and i4 in regards to design, from a design perspective.
I think what's interesting about it is actually, it's not pretentious trying to be futuristic.
Okay.
But it is futuristic in terms of material and the technology. And what most important is the DNA of the BMW is still strong there.
Okay.
It's not another car, it's still BMW. We can still the muscle of the design, and what's unique about BMW is still there. But also it's something new, and it's something that is forward.
Okay. We mentioned I think it still blows my mind about the sound design. But there are other highlights to this as well. Shy technology.
Yes.
I was just told about this. Can you explain this a little more, Ramesh? What is Shy technology?
Let's dial it back to 2001.
Okay.
When we introduced at that time the 7 Series, and in those days the iDrive.
Okay.
So a central controller,
Yes.
and we took away the myriad of buttons and dials.
It's simpler.
Exactly, we simplified it. We took away all the dials because it was looking like a aircraft cabin in the end, a cockpit. So we said, let's simplify it. So we reduced it down to the iDrive. That was phase one.
Okay.
And now I think we felt that, okay, the iDrive does a lot of things, but what can we do? What more can we do? What more can we make it much more clean and elegant, at the same time remaining true to BMW? So Shy Tech, in a way, hides some of the features that you use and only appear, or you can feel it from a textile standpoint when you actually want to have it.
Okay, when you
So,
need it.
for example, around the iDrive, there used to be some additional buttons,
Right.
shortcuts.
Yeah.
We took that away, but there's a little etching of the word there itself, which also lights up. When you press it, you can feel below it that you're pressing something as well, tactile.
Oh, okay.
So that is a way also of hiding some technology, but making it accessible as well, but in a BMW elegant way.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not taking away anything. Everything's still there, but you're just making it simpler. Why is that important for BMW?
Our cabins are as important, our interior as important as the exterior. We are well known for the cockpit experience in BMW, right? From the E36, the cockpit, the driver cockpit leans a bit toward the driver itself. So the driving experience is there very much, driver focused. But it's more about the user interface. What does the car lend to you when you drive the car from the cabin, from the driver's seat? And ShyTech and the iDrive helps you to focus much more on the driving experience.
You're not distracted by all these other things. Okay. I also want to talk one more thing, which is we touched on it a bit earlier in regards to electric range in the fight against climate change, using the resources. You talk a little bit about the range up to 420 kilometers. Some people have their concerns, obviously, when it comes to switching over to EVs. One of it is, if I charge, will I make it before I have to charge again? But BMW has this covered when it comes to electric range. Can you explain a little bit more?
Well, in the end, I think there will be range anxiety because we're moving to a new way, for people, consumers. They're not used to that. They're used to expect that all this petrol pumped, every kilometers down the highway. So this will be there, but we try to make it less distressing for people. So you can see, for example, how much the range is. And the car intelligently calculates as well what the range is depending on how you drive. So for example, we've told our salespeople down here, when someone new comes into the car, you've got to reset the range because the car calculates the last person's driving behavior.
By the style of driving. For example, if I like to go a little faster, really?
So it's a very, very accurate way to give you a range.
Okay.
So we try to take the stress out of the whole situation of the new technology.
Okay. What kind of driver are you?
Well, I drive most of the time. I love driving.
Right. You drive on your own, right?
I drive on my own. That's why I love BMW because
Right.
it's so drivers oriented. I'm a fun driver.
Yeah. Okay.
For myself, not
All
for
right.
everyone.
So you need to keep yours fully charged. We mentioned some of these features, for example, ShyTech, the sound design. How important is that to you, and how much does that add to your driving experience? So for somebody that loves to drive.
Yeah, I think, of course, we need adjustment from, as I said, like EV is the future.
Yeah.
So going towards that, I think we need some adjustment experience or nostalgia or memories about, how cool it is driving a car. But I think this is part of an experience and also adjustment how we change into EVs because inevitably it's the future.
Yeah. You mentioned that BMW has already been in the electric game for decades now. Unfortunately, the first time I've heard of climate change was when there was a hole in the ozone layer. I used to live in Toronto. In the 90s, we heard that there was a hole in the ozone layer. You would think that would make us do something, but for some reason, decades later, now we're starting to clamor, what do we do, what do we do? But like Nico said, changes can't be made overnight. From a BMW standpoint, what are the steps going forward when it comes to sustainability? You've taken a lot of steps already, but obviously there's still a long way to go.
Yeah.
So what would be the next steps forward, Ramesh?
A really important step, and coming back to Nico's experience when he's traveled, to really the borders of Indonesia and seeing the damage that has been done, is about raw materials.
Okay.
Because the extracting of raw materials, the processing creates a lot of CO2. A very important part of BMW's plan is to reduce this usage of primary raw materials and move it more towards secondary raw materials. We can save a lot of CO2 in that area. So right now, across the BMW range, about 30% of our cars make use of secondary raw materials.
Where can one start? Where should one start if they want to take steps towards sustainable living?
So I think we should own it. I mean, like everyone should own the thought of sustainability. It's not belongs to one particular group of people, you know, like activists or people who are, you know, like living sustainably, 100%.
Right.
The thought of sustainability. Everyone can do it, and it's okay. I think for now that we do little things as a step, as a contribute, because it contributes if we do it all together. That's what I said. Live, and also I think as a society we should be more critical about the regulations,
Okay.
about the commitments. So it's okay for doing just, you know, out of 100 lifestyle that we change,
Right.
1 or 2 is fine.
Every little bit helps.
And every little bit helps. And because when we do it together, like with the BMW, I think we're progressing towards more and more effort to do it, because, you know, we're still facing a lot of difficulties, like what happened right now with the supply of electricity and with the gas price and everything. You know, in the future we may have that kind of challenges also. So little steps will help.
You mentioned, I guess everyone who's driving conventional vehicles is feeling the pinch of gas prices. Can we see that as a silver lining, Ramesh, to perhaps people are starting to be, whoa, gas is really expensive. Maybe now's the time to make the shift, those that are maybe on the fence?
It does help, but I will also say it's not sustainable, because people have to think in terms of the long term. Because if you look at today's fuel price, ouch, it's painful, let's switch. But then when the prices change again, you go, you know what, shall I go back again to, you know, something else? So that's, in a way, I think
It's a short kind of term of thinking, right?
Yeah, people have to think more holistic.
Okay. Make sure to follow at BMW_Indonesia. Also check out the website www.bmw.co.id. And if you do post, make sure you tag us and use the hashtag BMW Indonesia and BMW at GIAS 2022. My name is Palele, signing off for now. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.